Hello, buddy. Welcome back to the Tin Man Squirrel channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and today I'm reacting to my second Trippy Diaries video for you guys. And this was titled Three Disturbing True Car Breakdown Horror Stories I Broke Down in the Most Terrifying Place. So without further ado, I'm going to turn these lights back off, move the camera up here for you guys, and let's get this reaction road in the bag, shall we? Okay, here we go.
My name is Henry, a 35-year-old from Round Rock, Texas.
Okay.
Driving along U.S. Route 79 on my way to a friend's place in Louisiana, my car suddenly sputtered and died. I managed to pull over to the side of the road, but it was clear that I wasn't going anywhere without help. I stepped out of the car and opened the hood, even though I had no idea what I was looking for. Minutes later, a beat-up pickup truck pulled up behind me. A middle-aged man with a greasy baseball cap and a friendly smile stepped out. "Need some help?" he called out. "Yeah, my car just died," I replied. "Do you know anything about engines?" "Sure do," he said, walking over. "Mind if I take a look?" Desperate, I agreed. He poked around under the hood, muttering to himself. "Looks like a busted fuel pump," he said after a few minutes. "I've got some tools in my truck. Let me see if I can fix it for you."
You know, at first I'll be thinking, oh great, somebody's coming to fix my car. Once he helps me with that, I'll be on the road continuing my travels. But the way he's describing this guy's comments is probably not no busted fuel pump. He's just saying that just so he can probably grab some tools to remove something in the engine just so he would stay there for a lot longer. This is why I would have like 911 on speed dial, just to let them know that this is not a major emergency, but my car broke down and I don't have no number for a garage. Can you get somebody out here to help me? That's all he had to do.
I watched him work, feeling a mix of hope and anxiety. Was it safe to trust this stranger? But what choice did I have? "What's your name?" I asked, trying to make conversation. "Call me Joe," he said without looking up. Joe worked for about 20 minutes, then wiped his hands on a rag and grinned. "Try starting her up now." I slid into the driver's seat and turned the key. To my relief, the engine roared to life. "Thank you so much, Joe," I exclaimed, genuinely grateful. "How much do I owe you?" "Don't worry about it," he said, waving me off, "just helping out a fellow traveler." Feeling a bit guilty about not offering him anything, I shook his hand and drove off. About 10 miles down the road, I reached for my wallet to pay a toll and realized it was gone. Panic surged through me. Had I dropped it? Or had Joe taken it? I turned the car around and sped back to the spot where Joe had helped me. But when I got there, his truck was gone. My heart sank. I got out and searched the ground, hoping to find my wallet. Then I saw it. Sitting on the passenger seat of my car was my wallet, minus the cash. Next to it was a note, scrawled in messy handwriting. "Be careful who you trust." My hands trembled as I read the note. What had just happened? Why would he return my wallet and leave a warning? I started to piece it together. Joe had taken my cash, sure, but he could have done much worse. He could have stranded me, hurt me, or worse. Instead, he fixed my car and left me with a chilling message. Why? What kind of person does that? I drove on, the note and the missing cash haunting my thoughts. My gratitude turned to a mix of fear and confusion. Was Joe trying to teach me a lesson? Or was he just toying with me? As I continued down US Route 79, every mile felt heavier. I kept glancing in my rearview mirror, half expecting to see Joe's truck following me. But the road behind remained empty. I reached my friend's place, shaken and exhausted. When I told him what happened, he looked just as baffled as I felt. "You were lucky," he said. "Could have been much worse." He was right. I narrowly avoided a serious threat, but the encounter left me wary. From that day on, I was more cautious, more suspicious of strangers offering help. Joe's note was a constant reminder. Trust is a precious thing, and not everyone who offers help is truly a friend.
You got that right. Makes you wonder how in the world did this guy Joe grab the cash out of his wallet to begin with. Unless when he told him to go start the car, he grabbed it out of his back pocket real quick, took the cash, put that note in there, and threw it in the car without him even noticing it. That's the only thing I could come up with. But yeah, I knew he was too good to be true. He said you didn't owe him nothing, and yet he already took the cash from you and gave you a chilly note. But he is right, that guy kind of gave him a lesson. Don't trust strangers who stop to try to help you, because you never know, they might try to rob you or kidnap you, since they say you're a lonely person on the road with a broken down vehicle. I'm just glad that guy got him his car, or got his car started for him, and he was able to go. And now he knows not to trust people who might end up tampering with the car just to make it not work at all, or might steal something. Trust your gut. If someone is too good to be true, have 911 on speed dial and quietly talk to them and say what's going on. And then they show up, they'll probably get back in their vehicle and go. So that tells you right there they'll not be trustworthy. Trust your instincts. But I'm just glad that he was able to get to his friend's place in one piece. So let's get to story number 2, shall we?
It was 11:45 p.m. and I was driving down a lonely, dark road.
Right.
The location was obscure, a place I couldn't even name if I wanted to. Everything seemed fine. My car was running smoothly. But suddenly, without warning, it sputtered and died. I coasted to the side of the road and sighed. Just my luck. I called for a tow truck and settled in to wait. The darkness felt oppressive, the silence unnerving. Then, out of nowhere, a figure emerged from the shadows. A woman, disheveled and wide-eyed, approached my car. "Excuse me," she said, her voice trembling. "My car broke down a little ways back. Can I sit in your car? I'm scared out here." I hesitated but nodded, unlocking the doors. She slid into the passenger seat, shivering slightly.
Yeah, I would feel scared to even let a stranger into my car, but sounds like they needed help. You open up the door and let them sit there, but make sure they don't steal anything out of it. But that would be disturbing, just standing there while your car is broken down, and all of a sudden someone walks up to you saying theirs is broken down too. I'm thinking this is probably a trap.
"Thank you so much," she said. "It's so creepy out here alone." "No problem," I replied, trying to sound reassuring. "I've already called for a tow truck. They should be here soon." We sat in silence for a few minutes. Something about her story didn't sit right with me. "So, where exactly did your car break down?" I asked. "Just around the bend," she replied, a bit too quickly. "Strange," I said. "I didn't see any other cars on my way here." She glanced away, avoiding my eyes. "Maybe you missed it," she muttered. The longer we sat there, the more uneasy I felt. She kept fidgeting, her eyes darting around. "Why were you out here so late?" I asked, trying to keep the conversation going. "Visiting a friend," she said, "but they weren't home." Something was definitely off. Her answers were too vague, too rehearsed. I checked my watch, hoping the tow truck would arrive soon. As if on cue, headlights appeared in the distance. Relief washed over me. The tow truck pulled up, and the driver got out. He took one look at the woman and his expression changed. "You," he said, his voice low. "What are you doing here?" She stiffened. "I'm just waiting for help," she replied, her voice now calm and cold. The driver turned to me. "She's been reported missing for days. She's dangerous." My heart pounded. "What?" He nodded, pulling out his phone. "I'm calling the police. Stay in your car." The woman's demeanor shifted instantly. She lunged for the door handle, but I quickly locked the doors. "Let me out," she screamed, pounding on the window. "Stay calm," the driver said, keeping an eye on her. Minutes later, police sirens filled the air. Officers arrived, quickly restraining her. She glared at me as they took her away, her eyes filled with rage. "You shouldn't have trusted me," she hissed. The police confirmed what the tow truck driver had said. She was a missing person with a history of mental instability and violence. They thanked me for staying calm and promised to keep me updated. As I finally got back on the road, the encounter replayed in my mind. The fear, the suspicions, the realization that I had narrowly avoided something potentially deadly. I couldn't shake the image of her face, twisted with anger. From that night on, I was more cautious. Every time my car made an unusual noise, every time I saw a figure in the dark, I remembered her. The woman who seemed like she needed help but was really a threat. Trust is a dangerous thing, especially on a lonely road in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, I'm glad that tow truck driver recognized her, because if that guy just let her ride with them, she probably would have had a mental breakdown or something and started fighting them. She must have broke out of a mental institution, you never know. But thankfully, the tow truck driver did the right thing, called the police, and got her taken into custody before she decided to attack both of them guys. But I'm just glad this guy was able to get his car towed away and he got out of there safe and sound without her harming him.
It was supposed to be a quick trip to clear my head. At 26, life had been overwhelming lately, and a drive through the countryside always helped. The open road was my escape. But on this night, the escape turned into a nightmare. My car started to sputter and slow down, eventually coming to a complete stop on a lonely stretch of road. I cursed under my breath and tried restarting the engine, but it was no use. The car was dead. With no one around and my phone's battery dangerously low, I managed to call a tow truck. "Can you come quickly? I'm stuck in the middle of nowhere," I said, trying to keep the panic out of my voice. The dispatcher assured me help was on the way, and I waited, the dark and silence pressing in on me. After what felt like an eternity, headlights appeared in the distance. The tow truck pulled up, and a tall, grim-faced mechanic stepped out. There was something unsettling about him, but I brushed it off as paranoia. "Need a lift?" he asked, his voice gruff. I nodded and thanked him as he hooked up my car. We drove in silence to his garage, which turned out to be in an isolated area, far from any town. The unease in my stomach grew stronger. "Let's get you fixed up," he said as we arrived, leading me into the dimly lit garage. The place was cluttered with strange tools, and I heard muffled sounds coming from a back room. My heart raced, and I tried to stay calm, convincing myself it was just old machinery. "Mind if I step outside for some fresh air?" I asked, needing to get away from the stifling atmosphere. He nodded, and I walked out, heading towards a nearby house. I knocked on the door, and an old woman answered. I quickly explained my situation and asked to use her phone. "Please, I need to call the police," I said, my voice trembling. She handed me the phone, and I dialed 911, explaining everything to the dispatcher. The police arrived surprisingly fast. They approached the garage cautiously, finding the mechanic working on my car, his face pale and hands shaking. "Sir, step away from the vehicle," one of the officers commanded. They searched the garage and discovered the source of the muffled sounds, a hidden room with locked boxes and old, rusty tools. It turned out the mechanic had a history of violent behavior. My hands trembled as I realized how close I'd been to danger. The police thanked me for my quick thinking, and they took the mechanic away. I finally felt a sense of relief wash over me. Driving home in a borrowed car, I couldn't stop thinking about how fortunate I'd been. That night, I locked all my doors and windows, grateful to be alive and safe. I knew I would never forget the chilling experience and vowed to be more cautious in the future.
He dodged the bullet right there. Thank gosh you realized that guy was acting suspicious, because I was thinking that he was probably going to start tearing down her car and, like sell the parts off and do something to her. But thankfully she trusted her instincts and went to the neighbor's house and called the police, and Sure enough, they found out he was wanted. I'm just glad that she was able to get a rental car and get away from that area. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more Creepy Diaries content like this. This has been another successful storm of the Tin Man Score channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and I said that's a wrap. Have a nice day, y'all.